Hello and welcome to Dodge, Parry and Roll, your fortnightly Australian independent video game and existential crisis show on YouTube each and every Thursday, fortnightly. So not each and every Thursday, each and every second Thursday.
Each and every other Thursday.
That's what I'm looking for. Thank you for being here. I am your host, Joshua LaRosa, joined as always by my dear friend Vinnie. Vinnie, how are you?
Oh, I've been better. All right.
Talk to me.
I had my fifth. All right, let's go. Let's talk about We're talking about existential crises. Crises. I had my first, crisis. Well, it was definitely a crisis. I had my first migraine ever last week. Never had one before in my life. That sucks.
Took you out?
It absolutely floored me. And I got myself checked out. Apparently, I have a stiff neck and it's all stress related, and I bite my jaw in my sleep.
A bit of a clencher.
I'm a clencher. And apparently that has something to do with me being having this migraine. And yeah, I was at work. I woke up, as you do. We do that. Woke up. I was about to hop in the shower, and I just felt like the best way I could describe it was it felt like my left eye had like shutter speed of the camera. So it like flickered.
Really?
And I was like, I'm like, that's odd. I'm like, it's morning. My mind's playing tricks on me, whatever. And then I was at work. It was probably got to about 12 o'clock. And then I started seeing like a white spot in like my vision. And I'm like, this is it. I'm dying. This is it.
This is how I'm going to go.
Then, yep. I'm like, really? At work of all places? Well, I've been there for 10 years. Might as well go at work.
You've spent more time there than you probably have anywhere else. So
exactly. And then I ended up speaking to my friend across the partition. And she's like, oh, it sounds like you had a migraine. I'm like, is that what this is? I'm like, this sucks. I'm like, this is not a good time. So I ended up just sleeping it off. But it's still kind of rocked me a little bit. But you know what? Me and Ruby have something in common because I am also on anti-inflammatories.
Ruby's my dog for people to...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm also on anti-inflammatories for my stress, neck, brain, jaw.
There's old age things creeping up on you. I'm going okay, actually. It was my birthday on Friday, so I turned 31 years old, which is wild to think about. Pretty quiet weekend. Like, we had a family over Friday night, made homemade cocktails. I was doing my old fashions, which is my favorite drink. So we were having that. I think everyone probably finished up at around 11:30. Nice. Nathan was up till 10:30, which is wild. He was just loving having both families, my side and obviously Naomi's side. And then Saturday went paving shopping. Had to purchase a few pavers for my backyard. Bit of a project going on that will hopefully be done over the next month. I got a whole bunch of... Naomi made a comment to me. She's like, you kind of start a lot of projects, but you're not finishing anything.
Dude, you're preaching.
Yeah. And I took that personally. I said, okay, no worries. Give me the corporate card. Give me the credit card.
Give me the corporate card.
Give me the corporate card. Whatever. Let me just spend some money. I'm like, all right, fine. So our garage is we got a double car garage, and half of it's been dedicated to a gym, and the other half has just been the car coming in, but it's never been well organized. So, okay.
Yep.
I'm buying a new shoe rack. I'm building a shoe rack for all our shoes. You need to go through your shoes because my wife has enough shoes for it's incredible. She has literally hundreds of pairs of shoes. So I said, do a clear out, right? I've got a big 10 leveled shoe case. You can have it.
Yeah.
I've got 5 pairs of shoes. Work boots, as in corporate work boots.
Yeah, of course.
The
sneakers.
No, the corporate. What are they called? The corporate shoes that aren't the boots, just work shoes. I don't know whether. So
like
still the black
loafers?
leather, but not with the high boot.
Yeah. Like your suit, like your
suit shoes. Yeah, that's exactly what they are.
Yeah.
They were from a wedding. So those. I went through work. I got tickets to the Nike outlet, the staff store. So I brought a nice pair of runners that are for gym. So that's 3 pairs. I've got my old pair of runners, which are now my lawn cutting at home runners.
Yeah, the grass stained ones.
Yeah, the ones where I just need to do housework outside, and then a pair of thongs. Or I'm Australian. We've got to have one pair of thongs.
You're not even a pair of UGG boots.
Never owned an UGG boot in my life.
Wow,
Never owned a
game
Croc.
changer.
Vinny,
Crocs are fine.
Crocs you know me enough to say, I find something, and then I just never change it. That is my whole mentality. That is my whole life.
Yeah,
find something I like.
Yep, you stick to it.
Stick to it. Unrelated. Funny, this all came up, right? A few months back, I guess now, I got a new role at work. I know I'm jumping stories here.
Yeah.
And part of this new role was to inform different stakeholders of the business what the project was. And the feedback that I got at the end of all that was, like, you do such a good job, like, repeating something, but having it be, like, identical. So it doesn't matter who was listening, whether it was John or Paul, they both got the same level of detail and the same information. You're very consistent.
Yep.
And like I've been saying to everyone and every person who asks, that is my only skill.
That is your superpower.
Do one thing, and I do it on repeat. And then that seems to work. So, anyway, jumping back, the shoe rack. Get rid of your shoes. So she did a clear out. We organised that. I brought some shelving. I built some shelving over the week. Reorganised my garage.
Wow, look at you. You're such a man.
Got the car quote for the new car. Right, we're going to go test drive one in a few weeks. We're looking at a BYD Sea Lion 7, which is like an electric family car.
Totally electric.
Well, without giving away where I work, it makes sense. And I also have a charger at home from my previous job. So it all evens out. So that's going on. The pavers, the backyard's happening. I'm going to do a garden bed along the back fence now as well. It's another thing because that area doesn't get too much sun, so the grass ain't doing too well. I've got a whole plan.
Oh yeah,
garden bed.
You're a man who loves his lawn.
Pavers. I'm ordering $250 worth of sand. I'm gonna scalp the backyard and level it. Brought a leveler. Well, I did my little Bunnings trip.
Yep.
What else we doing? We're gonna do a little vegetable garden for Nathan. And we're obviously gonna have a second. There's two for obvious reasons. Yep. So yeah.
Josh, you are so domesticated now.
It's not even that I'm domesticated. It's just like, you dare say to me that I don't finish a job.
Out of spite.
I'm going to finish all the jobs and spend all the money all at once.
Yep. Yep. I get that.
Yeah. So things are good. I feel I'm not very handy in terms of like, I can't build things from scratch or do anything. But I can build things. Like things that can be built, I can do them. But I can't go out there and be like, I'll do the pavers myself. I'll buy the pavers. I'll dig out the area.
Yep.
But then I'll bring the father-in-law in and we'll do it together. And I'll just mostly watch at that point and do all, probably the lifting parts of it. And these pavers are like this thick. So we're not even concreting them in. They're just getting sanded in and they'll be fine.
Yeah, fair enough. Are you like that guy who wants to learn to do that stuff? You want to be that self-sufficient human being? Because I've been trying to do some stuff, some personal projects, fixing my car, doing stuff like that. Like I want to learn how to service my own car properly. And then I also want to learn how to change my own brakes. So that's going to be an interesting thing when I finally get around to that, when I have time, because time is one thing we don't have all at my expense these days. I mean, I say that I'm single. I have no family, no kids, no house, but I don't have time. All right.
There's no time.
There's no time for any of that. There's no time to look out for that stuff. But I want to go speak to my friend who's a mechanic. And he's like, I want to change the brakes. Could I watch and then try? Like I do one, like you do one, and then I do the other three kind of thing. Like I'm always interested in learning that stuff. And maybe having someone there will be that motivator. It's like going to the gym. If you go to gym with someone,
you train twice as hard. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Like the biggest gain you can ever get from going to the gym is having someone go with you.
100%. 100%.
Yeah. Once again, out of spite.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't have them train harder than you.
No, of course not. That'd be ridiculous. And I do want to learn, not so much like I've got no appetite to like pick up a drill and start drilling things. That's a step too far for me. Anything that can risk like risk breaking the thing that you're doing. You know, drill a hole in the wrong spot or cut something the wrong way. I'd rather leave that to the expert. No, I'm not a power tool guy. Yeah, give me a hammer. Okay. I'm there. But I'm finding myself enjoying just being outside doing things.
Yeah.
That are within the wheelhouse. You know, putting things in tubs, putting those tubs on the shelf that you build. But yeah, I ain't, you know, hanging. I'm not putting shelves on the wall in the house like that. The brother-in-law or the father-in-law come in.
How do you think they started? They didn't start with a drill in their hand. They got to that level. You could be that guy.
They chose the trade life. They will come in when they're required. I have to help people find cars for the rest of my life and help them every time they buy a computer or some sort of technology. I spent 2 hours at my in-laws yesterday setting up a RoboVac. All right?
Yeah.
They can hang the shelf.
Yeah, fair enough. You know, I pretty much go to my parents being like, oh, my parents ask, like, oh, this printer doesn't work. I'm just like,
Just every time. And I don't even go, like, my dad's a whole nother can of worms. Love him, but he's even less patient than I am. Like, far, far less patient. So I'm like, I bring you in when I need to lift something, or I need to remove something, or someone needs to be removed, then you bring my dad.
Someone needs to be removed.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But we are, like we said at the start, a whole 10 minutes ago, well, we did say existential crisis, so we did kind of meet that criteria.
Yeah, we're just having a bit of a rant, bit of a catch up on life. Like, we were supposed to catch up.
Yeah.
Your family was going through the motions of being sick, so we had to postpone that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, you know,
probably a bit of a false alarm in hindsight. I was just being cautious because I know you've got a lot going on.
I appreciate it.
And I hate to be that guy. I hate when you go over someone's house and you see them sniffling and you're like, I've been there.
Why?
Don't like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. I respect it. You know, I'm going to the snow soon. I'm going
I
snowboarding. I appreciate the looking out for me because I don't want to do that when I'm sick.
Yeah, exactly. But it was a bit of a false alarm. I have this thing that I think we spoke about. When I get sick, I sneeze as opposed to coughing. And there was about a day there where I started sneezing a lot. And that, like I said, over a day ends up in like my ribs feel like they're about to burst out of my chest. Like I'm that sore. And I started sneezing a little. And then I said, I'm just going to get on the cold and flu early and just stay on it for a day. And then by day 2, day 3, it pretty much subsided. Nathan had a bit of a fever, but that was teeth related. So he didn't actually get sick. It was just a bit of the timing of it. I'm like, oh, I'm not feeling right. Nay's not feeling right. He's got a fever. Something ain't right.
Yep. I saw Nathan playing with your Power Rangers as well.
Yeah, I pulled out the Hasbro.
That's the dream.
It is. I said to my wife, I'm like, there's a new one that just came out. It's much bigger, probably more appropriate for you know, Nathan. And then she's like, how much is it? I'm like, probably gonna cost about $200 all up. She's like, I'm like, yeah, fair enough. And we just spent like $200, $250 for his birthday just on gifts already. And I'm like, yeah, maybe Christmas, or maybe I'll just buy him. Maybe I'll just do that.
Yeah, maybe you just do that. Maybe you can get the morpher and the blaster and be like, pew pew.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe even the combined Megazord that lights up and kind of has the sounds. I'm like, that's pretty cool. Yeah. And then that way, because what I'm finding with the Hasbro one, little things, right? Like, we take it for granted, but they like get their fingers pinched on the, you know, the joints and things like that. I'm like, okay, this is why kid toys aren't this articulated. Yeah. But so is life. Toughen up.
Yep.
You'll get to it.
Toughen up, exactly.
But it's been a pretty busy 2 weeks. Like, in terms of how busy I am, I still find time to play video games. And I find myself, as I'm getting older, be like, this is really my hobby. Like, I actually genuinely love it more than anything else. Yeah. From a hobby perspective. But let's jump into the games we're playing. Vinny, what have you been playing? I think last time, because you finished Donkey Kong Bonanza, but that was after the episode last fortnight. So you...
Yeah. So I actually ended up... That was my game of choice the entire time for that fortnight. I only finished it last Thursday.
Talk to me.
Fantastic ending. Ending was way better than what I thought it was going to be.
I've heard that.
It was and it was like, I remember playing it on like the Saturday. It was the Friday night. Yeah, sorry. I played it on the Friday night. I was like, okay, cool. I'm up to the last bit. This should be the end game. I'm like, oh, I'll just go to bed and I'll wake up and I'll just finish it Saturday morning. It'll be fine. 3.5 hours later, I end up finishing the game and I'm like, oh, you know what? Totally worth it. It
Yeah.
really kept me hanging, but there was some end game stuff which was cool, like post credits stuff. You had to go do some more items, and it actually valued your. The best way to describe it is in Spyro 2, where it's like you go to that secret unlocked area after you get a certain amount of
Yeah.
collectibles.
The game doesn't gate
It
you off
rewards
from
you.
content, but the end game rewards you for having spent the
More
time.
collectibles.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, correct. So you needed about 650 bananas to do the end game stuff, which actually isn't a lot, at least for me, because I ended up playing through a lot of it. But I was definitely burnt out by the end of it.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, I was banana.
Worthy of all the... we spoke about this last time, but I think we were too early. I was, and you were a little bit further in at the time. But worthy of the praise? Like, do you think that this is Astrobot levels of, like, Game of the Year worthy? Yeah.
Look, in the same way that Astrobot got Game of the Year, I think this one could too. It's very fun. It is extremely fun. It is, at the roots, it's a 3D platformer. I love that they're making a comeback. It's probably some of my favorite genres of games, like besides RPGs. Like, it's just a lot of fun and not that much thinking. But even the things where they have the shrines from essentially Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild, like those little instances where you go and do your mini platform, your mini puzzles, and your mini bosses, like those parts really break up the game. Your abilities and interchanging your different bonanzas, like that really breaks up the game as well. The game is a lot more fun than I originally thought it was going to be. But that being said, because I played it that was my only game for the entire 2 weeks that I played it, I was very burnt out.
Yeah.
And I needed to switch up.
Have you noticed, like, a trend with Nintendo games and having the shrines? Like, I just think about, like, Zelda, Donkey Kong, Mario Odyssey had it. Like, these kind of, like, levels within a level, which I guess have always been there, but it just seems like it's built into their DNA now. That it's like every game's going to have, like, these puzzle rooms or whatever.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, going back all the way to, like, Donkey Kong Country, where you find your hidden rooms that were, like, bonus rooms. And it was, collect the KONG or collect the stars or something like that.
Is that in this game? I haven't come across, like, the letters at all. Is it?
No, the letters and the DK emblems aren't in this game.
Yeah, okay.
Just bananas and fossils.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
If you had to give it a rating out of 10, where would you land on it?
I give it a solid 9. I don't think any game's perfect. It's like, in terms of Game of the Year, I think Clair Obscur beats it out.
This year's a very stacked year.
It's a strong year.
Yeah.
Like, very strong year. And it's still going.
Still got plenty of games to go.
Yeah, exactly. You got Death Stranding that you've been playing, that you just finished. Like, did you want to talk about that?
Yeah, for sure. So I think the last fortnight, I think for me, I think I started Donkey Kong and I had put it down, and then Death Stranding 2 became my main game. And what a run between jumping from, like, Expedition to Lies of P DLC into Death Stranding, potentially into Metal Gear in this month, right? Which is Metal Gear Solid 3 is my favorite game of all time. So 2025 is, like, up there for me, is probably one of the top years in gaming, I think, in my opinion. Very 2011 like, Uncharted 3, Batman Arkham City, Skyrim. Big year. But yeah, Death Stranding 2. The more I played, the more I fell in love with this game. It is very much a sequel to Death Stranding, in the sense that it's an improvement in every way. I was a fan of Death Stranding, but I think I have definitely matured since its release. That was 2019, so 6 years' time. I was in my mid-20s, now I'm 30. So I think I've got a different palette for video games, and I think that I got far more out of Death Stranding 2 than I did from the first. I haven't gone back since playing it when it originally released. I know it's had the PS5 upgrade and update since then, and that's when they included, I think, a lot of the interstitial things that jumped into Death Stranding 2. So like weapons and more stealth sections, and they made some gameplay improvements, which, playing 2 for me felt like a massive step up because I only had played Death Stranding base on PS4. But in terms of pacing, story, gameplay, characters, graphics, everything, it's a massive step up. At its core, there is a really deep gameplay system that marries Death Stranding 1's delivery process. Did you play Death Stranding? Did you play Death Stranding?
No, I didn't, but I know about it.
You know about it, right? So it still has the delivery mechanic being the kind of core of the game. But I feel like in the base Death Stranding, the original, that core made up a big chunk of the game. There wasn't too much outside of that core, and that was the game. Combat was hit and miss in the base game, in the first game. Very stilted. There wasn't like a lot of options for combat. It was pretty much hand-to-hand combat, throwing deliveries, and you really didn't get into combat too much in the first game. Like, I found myself just driving away or, avoiding the camps altogether. Death Stranding 2 basically adds like Metal Gear Solid 5 mechanics into Death Stranding. So you've got full-on stealth, right? You've got weapons that are, silenced, and you've got ability to kind of knock out enemies and take out a camp stealth. You can crouch. You can't go prone or anything like that, but there's high grass. Like, it has the whole Metal Gear Solid 5, like, approach a base camp and approach it any way you want. Do you want to climb the canyon and kind of survey the area from the top? If you have a silenced sniper rifle, pick people off. If you don't, kind of go in and take people out one at a time. It's not as deep as Metal Gear Solid 5, which that was the gameplay core. But I'd say it's about 75-80% there. So it adds so much that it incentivizes combat, right? And the game story is done in a way where it kind of explains that Sam is now in a position where he isn't just a delivery person who occasionally might pick up a weapon. He is, gone through so much in the first game that as part of this journey, understands what weapons, how to use weapons, and is a bit more equipped for combat. So I think the stealth gameplay was really great. The delivery process was obviously core to the game, and that's been vastly improved as well and streamlined. You're not spending as much time in the menus and adjusting cargo and changing the weight. I was just basically auto sorting the cargo on Sam's back. Story was just more straightforward as a Kojima game could be, but delivered in a way. Death Stranding 1 kind of had a slow start, a lot of like exposition cutscenes at the front end. Then it kind of plateaued a bit, and then right at the end, it just like back to cutscenes galore in the back 70% of the game, the last 30%. This game feels like it's more spread out, and you're just getting like, you're constantly engaged in cutscenes and story, but it's not, 30% at the front end, then nothing for another 60%, and then another 30%. It's kind of even. So the pacing of the way that the story's dealt out was an improvement. Like I said, the actual gameplay, the moment-to-moment gameplay, a lot more open. You're getting introduced to weapons and cars and vehicles a lot earlier. And I just think the story, without obviously spoiling anything, just was very powerful. And, you see the box art. It's literally got Sam and a baby, Lou.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it just affected me different, being a dad to a little child. But yeah, I loved it. Like, I think this is probably Kojima's best game since maybe Metal Gear Solid 3.
Which is your favorite game of all time?
Which is my favorite game of all time. I'm at the point now where I'm like, Death Stranding 2 is in that upper echelon, I think, of some of the best games, my favorite games of all time. And we just had Cleric Obscure earlier this year. So this is like what I was saying before. It's like, this year's just incredible. And I kind of feel, I had to check myself. I'm like, my list is changing. and I feel like it's a lot of modern games.
Yeah,
and
which is crazy.
Yeah, and I'm like, but then when I sit back, I'm like, no, Death Stranding 2 is special, and Expedition 33 is special. They just happened to come out back to back. And I've been playing video games my entire life. Like, if you want to be real, like, I'm 30, I don't know. Do you count games you played when you're 4 or 5, perhaps?
I think so. I think they shape you.
They do shape me, and there is still some of those like old style core games still there for me, like the original Last of Us, Kingdom Hearts 2, Uncharted 3. There's others, but they're still very much ingrained in terms of shaping my favorite games of all time.
I think Arkham as well. You love the Arkham.
I love the Arkham games, yeah, for sure. I think Arkham's in that kind of like outside my top 10. But like maybe number 11 or 12. But like I think there's that core kind of top 10 that hasn't changed for a very long time. And I think games like Death Stranding 2 and Expedition have snuck their ways in. Same way with Lies of P, right? Same thing. I think that game's absolutely incredible for what it's trying to do. Maybe we do an episode at some point going through. I would love to do a top 10. Yeah. To see how that's changed since we've done it all those years ago. But yeah, it's hard for me to pick Game of the Year so far, but I think predicting kind of what the Keeleys will look like later this year, I think we very much will see Expedition 33, Death Stranding 2, probably even Donkey Kong Bonanza in there. I don't think we'll see Ghost of Yota. I think that'll be great, but I think it's just going to be like a solid 8.5, 9, but not pushing the medium forward. You know, Split Fiction might be in there. I
was thinking Split Fiction.
I felt that was a little overrated, but a lot of people like it. What's that medieval game? Kingdom Come Deliverance 2.
Oh, yeah.
That was a big hit from earlier this year, and there's still games to come. There's still plenty of games coming out.
Yeah, it's wild. I've been talking about like I want to do a list and actually finish it of, talking about us not completing things. I want to go through lists of generation defying games and play them.
Okay.
Because I have, for example, like I never owned a 64. I never played those. I never played through completion, at least like Majora's Mask or Ocarina of Time. Those are very, like, I know they're dated and I won't be looking at it with nostalgia goggles, but I've never actually finished those games. So
do you want to play the originals in the original form? Like Ocarina is in there. Like, wasn't the 3DS remake apparently pretty good? Which I think got ported over to Wii at some point. Or
no, I don't think so.
No?
But I'd like to see them remake it. That's what I'd like to see.
Yeah.
But yeah, playing games in the original form. Never played Legend of Dragoon. Never played Chrono Trigger. Never played Mother 3. Sorry, Mother. Earthbound. Yeah. So there are games where I just think about, a lot of them are RPGs, but which is annoying because that's a lot of time. A lot of time. But there are games as well. You know, I've never played Arkham City.
Yeah.
I never played. I never finished Assassin's Creed 2. Like those games where they were the heavy hitters
of that generation. Yeah.
So it'd be cool to play through the generation-defying games in that sense.
In the modern space, do you feel like you're pretty up to date?
Not really. I feel like I get left behind. I like get left behind a lot. Like I played Clair Obscur. I played Lies, but I don't have the hands for it. I have not played Death Stranding. I have not played Split Fiction, although I want to. Played Bananza. And, I'm keeping Metroid. I play Mario Kart World, all that stuff. Pretty casual in the sense. Playing Hades, too. So that's a game from this year-ish. Yeah. Will be coming out this year. So it's hit and misses in a sense where I'm up to date, but I'm also not.
Yeah. I've made peace that like I'm as up to date moving backwards as I can be, and I just don't have time to go back. So
that's a hard bit.
Yeah, finished Death Stranding 2 straight away. Went into Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, which is their new 2D pixel Ninja Gaiden game. One of 3 Ninja Gaiden games. I'm saying Gaiden interchangeably here, but one of 3 games launching this year. We got the Ninja Gaiden Black 2 remake that launched, was part of the Xbox Direct in February, which I played, this game, and then Ninja Gaiden 4 coming out later this year. So, been playing that. It's been made by the same team that did Blasphemous, the Blasphemous games. So I don't know if you've played Blasphemous before. Great game. It's now become... So now that I've finished Death Stranding 2, I've kind of got my like plan set for what's next, and I'm like, August is stacked, right? Like, Gears of War's coming to PlayStation. I would like to do that co-op, probably with my uncle at this point. Yep. Metal Gear is coming out. Lost Soul Aside is coming out later this month. Shinobi's coming out. There's just like all these games coming out that I want to play. So I'm like, all right, now that I've got a week or so, Ninja Gaiden and Donkey Kong are going to be like my main games. So I've been playing both. Ninja Gaiden's hard, man. It's a brutal 2D hack and slash. Very much in the same spirit as the originals. It actually takes place, like the beginning of the game takes place during the first cutscene of the first Ninja Gaiden game back on NES, which was really cool.
That's cool.
But yeah, I'm having a blast. Like, it is, some of the boss battles are taking me like 30 minutes to do.
Yeah.
And the boss fights you can probably do in 3 minutes. So it's like, you can tell there's that difficulty there, which is probably in their DNA from Blasphemous, and then also in the DNA of Ninja Gaiden, which has historically been a very difficult action platformer back in the day. So yeah, between that and Donkey Kong, I've just gotten to the canyon layer now. So still pretty early. Still on the first unlock in terms of the Bananza transformations. But I'm enjoying the flow. I think now that it was a bit much when it was like trying to do Mario Kart World, Donkey Kong Bonanza, and Death Stranding. It was just too much. Death Stranding just took up a lot of energy. But now jumping between Ninja Gaiden and Donkey Kong, it just feels okay. Because you know me, I don't like to play more than 1 or 2 games that normally no more than one main AAA game at a time. But Donkey Kong and Ninja Gaiden, I feel like I can split my brain energy across those two.
Yeah. I'll generally like to play something and then have a game that's my consistent game, and then I'd be watching something kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that'd be my way I spend my media.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's for everyone. But League of Legends was my forever game, but it's no longer a thing for me. At least nowhere near as regular. I don't think I've played it in like a month or so.
Yeah, I'm so lucky that I don't play a game like that. Which we're actually going to talk about in just a second anyway. Those styles of game taking up.
A good Sugui.
Good Sugui. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it for me. I'll put down Time Stranger. I mean, not Time Stranger. Hacker's Memory. I was like, yep, I like it. I get it. I'll save myself for Time Stranger later this year. And the only other thing I want to mention, because it was announced on my birthday.
Darksiders 4.
Oh my god. Darksiders 4. Finally. 15 years I've been waiting. Since January 2010, since that first game ended, to get a sequel that actually takes place after the events of the first game. Because every other Darksiders game has been a prequel or happened at the same time.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this is the Fourth Horseman, isn't it?
So you had Darksiders 1, you played as War. Darksiders 2, you played as Death. Darksiders 3, you play as Fury. Then there was Darksiders Genesis, which was a top-down shoot 'em up, I guess, co-op. And that's where you played as War and the Fourth Horseman, which... what's his name?
Famine, like Pestilence or whatever it's called?
Yeah, he had another name, though. Let me have a quick Google. Darksiders Genesis. That's the biblical name, but they didn't want to call the character that, because I don't think Famine sounds like a fun character to play.
Yeah,
Strife.
no, it doesn't.
They called him Strife.
Okay, yeah,
so
that makes sense.
You've played all of them up until this point, and the whole thing with Darksiders was the original pitch for the game, back when it was like before the first game got made, was the idea of playing as the Four Horsemen. So they've kind of been building up to the idea of this final game. The end of the first Darksiders is War doing whatever he does and breaking the final seal, the seal of the apocalypse, which brings the other 3 horsemen down to Earth. So all the prequels have taken place either at the same time or in the past, not on Earth during the end of the world, in the end of the the apocalypse. So this is finally them landing on Earth, and then the final part of the story. So I am
Wow, 15 years.
Yes, I am Darksiders. I've got a statue that I got when I picked up the first version of Darksiders in 2010 on PS3. I remember paying $100 at JB Hi-Fi, and they had one statue left, which was kind of like they were giving away as part of the collector's edition, but they had one that was unallocated or whatever, so they gave it to me. It's very shitty, but I've got it in the box. It's still got the THQ branding on it, because that was when it was published by THQ. That was my first video game collectible. Wow. So think about 2010, I was in year 10, I started probably working part-time. That is what started the collecting phase, was that game, Darksiders, and the wall statue.
That's a good question. What was my first collectible of game? Yeah, that's a different story.
That's another thing. So yeah, I just wanted to mention Darksiders 4 got announced on my birthday. Thank God.
Yep. Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Happy birthday to Josh.
Yeah, it's about time someone did something for me. But anyway, Vinny, you had a really fantastic topic of discussion. So I'm going to hand over to you to run to the races, or run to the horses, if we want to tie it back to Darksiders and the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse. Take it away.
Very nice. Well, yeah. So this one, I kind of not so much, a little bit of a passion. I kind of just talk about how the evolution of gaming. I mean, we've been in the business a little while, you and I. No, we know you know it more from a very much a business standpoint. I definitely know it from a consumer and retail standpoint, but we work in that division. The fact that the world is pivoting, the world is changing, and talking about mobile games and how everyone is kind of partnered up to a division of a certain game in themselves, and how it's definitely so. For example, I am Switch and PC. That's probably how I define myself. A little bit of PS5 in there. You are PS5,
little bit
Switch,
of Switch, like
little bit
5%
of
Switch.
Little bit, yeah, and like 2% of PC, and that's because of Game Pass.
Yeah, just enough to try it, just enough to hate it, to then buy it on PlayStation.
Exactly. But what we do both really appreciate is the handheld market. Like you play your PS Portable and your Switch 2s. I played my Switch, which I really enjoyed, and I have a handheld that I can link to my PC, so I can play all my games remotely. But these damn Gen Alphas, these damn Zoomers, they are all mobile all the time. So the data is in, apparently. Apparently for Gen Alpha, they prefer 93% of estimated statistic. Say it right there. Just don't quote me on this. 93% is mobile devices that they prefer.
Is that what you're saying?
If someone said, "Hey, I have this game on PC, or I have this game on mobile. What are you playing?" Or, "Hey, I have this game on mobile, I have this game on PS5." They're picking mobile every day. You know why? Because it's convenient. It's in your hand. It's all the time. They have the ability to play it. But not only that, it's like they stick to one game, which I found very interesting. And you had to Google it before. You thought you had to Google what Roblox was.
What is Roblox? As someone who dedicates themselves to playing video games and talking about it outside of my personal life, I never have seen a screenshot or a frame of what Roblox is or look like.
Yeah, and what's wild is Roblox came out like 18 years ago.
Yeah, I came across that, which was shocking.
Yeah, but I guess I just want your thoughts and feelings on the whole mobile gaming. From an actual mobile device. I guess we have our dedicated consoles, whereas PS Portable, a Switch. But how do you feel about using your phone more than a phone, like always being around you, kind of thing?
I don't know if I exactly believe the data, to be honest. What are they deeming as mobile? Is mobile meaning like a mobile phone, or mobile
Cellular.
meaning portable?
So we're talking mobile.
Like, does a handheld device count as a mobile device?
I'm probably more talking smartphones and tablets.
Smartphones and tablets. Okay, so like an iPad, right?
Yeah. Yeah. We always spoke about those iPad kids.
Yeah. Yeah, I really struggled with getting, I guess, separating myself from what is the reality of the modern day gamer. And I think there is definitely a lean towards iPads and phones in the younger generation. The sad thing is those are being introduced by people of our generation, giving their kids access to these devices. I think these kids are also being raised in a world where music's at their fingertips, TV shows, movies are at their fingertips through streaming services and Spotify and things like that, and that
instant gratification.
And perhaps the assumption is video games are no different. As much as this data could be worrying, I don't think it will have a material... No, it will have a material impact, but I don't think it will spell the end of the things that we love. And I think why I tend to think that way is that I think what we deem as someone who plays video games in the 80s was very small, right? You've got NES, you had the Mega Drive or the Genesis, arcades.
And then like the Atari and
and by that point they were mostly gone anyway, right? The 5200 no one was touching. It was really those things, right? And arcades formed a bigger part of that pie, and PC gaming, of course. So based on that being so limited, people playing video games fit in a very perfect circle of these are console games on NES, Genesis, at the arcades, or on PC, right? There wasn't an option to play anything else, or that was it. Over time, I think the pie of players has gotten bigger as video games as a concept has grown.
Yeah.
And I think the circle that is the hardcore bubble has grown and grown and grown, but then has plateaued. And I've always explained it in the sense that unlike a movie or unlike a piece of music, you can give a kid a headphones and say, listen to this or watch this.
Yeah.
We take for granted how difficult it is to use one of these if you don't have any experience. You hand a controller to someone who hasn't played a video game before.
Oh, yeah.
And watch them run around like this with their head up on the roof or looking at the ground.
It is an absolute nightmare. I mean, I have one of my friends, she's not a gamer. She ain't no gamer girl. She's an iPhone gamer for sure. But you give her a controller and she is an absolute dunce.
Yeah. It's like when I tried playing It Takes Two with my wife and I said, no more. That's enough. We're going to end up in divorce. So I think what I'm trying to get at is there is a fixed number of people who can pick up a controller and play it, right? And those people are probably the 200 million that the consoles always seem to sell combined, right? Any Switch, PS4, and Xbox One, PS5, Xbox Series, and Switch 2. Ish, right? 200 million.
Yeah.
Then there's probably part of that pie that gets eaten up by PC, right? There's probably been people that have transitioned from console to PC or vice versa. But I also think that pie is different. The people who preferred PC 10 years ago. People who preferred console 10 years ago tend to stick with console, right?
Yeah, okay.
People of our generation, in the sense that they've built their digital libraries on PlayStation, on Xbox, on Nintendo, or they built their libraries on Switch and on Steam, and that's where they play. So what I'm getting at is that pie, that 200 odd million people, is pretty fixed.
Yeah.
The circle outside of that is everyone else that has been exposed to the concept of video games by iPhone and iPad. Candy Crush. Well, sorry, I'm taking a lot of the floor here, so jump in.
No, that's okay. But I'm thinking from the perspective that generation of that pie is still getting bigger. Whereas our generation of having that smaller pie, that's done.
It's plateaued.
Gen X, Gen X and Gen Y, like millennials, we're done. That pie is getting as big as it ever will. It will slightly expand, but as we get older, it's also going to slightly shrink a little bit more as well.
Yeah.
Whereas the alphas and the like Zoomers, they're just going to get bigger and bigger.
They're going to be the market.
They are going to be the market. And I think that's how long until they realize that they're going to stop catering to we will soon be, if not already, a niche in a sense. So, how long until they take away consoles? So that's an interesting question.
Yeah. And all things that keep me up at night.
The things you worry about. Yeah. You wonder why I'm stressed with the migraines? It's these questions.
It's these things. So yeah, I agree. I think that the industry is going to go through a lot of transformation. I think we've got 10 more years of it remaining the same in terms of we get a PS6, we get a new Xbox.
Yeah.
Those games come to those things. We're already going to see Xbox pivot to more of a PC product.
Well, yeah, they're doing the handheld. They're doing the gaming handheld once again. Handhelds being convenient and kind of the market. Steam Decks, all the PC handhelds coming out, and then PlayStation supposedly doing their own handheld version. I mean, handhelds are the future. People want their games; they want it in their pocket.
I'm a bit not quite sold on that, and we could talk about that next, like in terms of handhelds, because I think that's an important point, and I'm not quite sold on that fact being the reality, but I might be wrong. And there's data that probably presents itself to say that I am. But yeah, I think that there's that overarching bigger pie of all the people being introduced to Candy Crush and things like that, and they count as gamers. And then there's the Gen Alphas coming through that the devices that they choose to play games on aren't dedicated devices. So that's why that kind of leans into why I think gaming handhelds, whilst great and important, aren't the same thing, because the devices that these people are playing on or choosing to play on are devices that aren't built for gaming, like in the first instance. An iPhone is not for that. An iPad isn't for that. Can do it, right? But mostly an iPad's for watching videos and whatever. And a phone's obviously used for being a phone and Spotify and everything else. YouTube. So I think what the data was showing is that a vast majority, and you're right, 93% of Gen Alphas favor playing games on mobile devices. They just they're not so locked into the device itself, because they don't have thousands of games on PlayStation that they've paid for over the years that are sitting there. They just prefer to play on the device that they have, right? So I think what will happen is, like I said, I think we'll get 10 more years of the status quo with some modification. But I still think there will, for the foreseeable future, still be a fan base and people willing to spend and pay to play what we call AAA single-player styles of games.
Oh yeah, I don't think that's going away. I think the market of the console is moving from more of moving more from a docked system that stays in your home, is moving to a portable system. That's where I think where technology is keeping up with the fact that we can now take stuff anywhere. The console market will be shifting to that, and they might do the thing where the Steam Deck has a dock, the Switch has a dock. I do like playing things on the big screen still, so maybe it could be a hybrid. Like the Switch was such a pioneer in that sense, where it's both. Nintendo was the Game Boy, was the handheld kings, and then they had the Wii, had the flop of the Wii U, one of the best consoles of all time. We won't talk about that. But then you go to the Switch, and the Switch was it was literally a game changer in the market. One of the like most sold consoles of all time.
It's the third highest selling console of all time, gaming device of all time, if you include the original DS. But it's the second highest compared to PS2, right? Which is at 160 million. I think it's at 153, 154.
Yeah, and the Switch 2 is the fastest selling console of all time.
Yeah. I think it sold 5+ million. I had it written down before. 5.8 million units by the end of June.
and it's on track to sell approximately 15 by the end of the year, which is wild because they only have 2 real games.
Yeah. Can I throw a spanner in the works though?
Oh, go for it. This is discussion.
This is the inside me pushing back on everything. What's interesting though is that the Switch was successful, the original Switch, whilst being severely underpowered. Right?
Yes.
These modern handheld gaming devices are positioning themselves to be somewhat powerful when compared to what the Switch was at its time. And that is also resulting in why the Xbox One Ally is, in Australia, probably going to cost well over $1,000. My question becomes that these Gen Alphas using devices that aren't built purposely, built for gaming, as a easier way to get in and play Fortnite on your old iPhone, regardless of how modern it is, versus the spending of $1,000+ to get a dedicated gaming handheld that can also potentially do other things. Now, if PC gaming itself is growing, which it has been, whilst console gaming is plateaued, that will also push forward the power narrative, because PCs will continue to get more powerful and games will be built to accommodate that. So then there's really only 2 options in the console space, handheld space. You either design a handheld that is going to be capable of running these PC games. That is going to be very expensive, right? Because you've got to shrink everything to a handheld level. Or there's the need for a dedicated piece of gaming tech that still is reminiscent of a console that can play those modern games. So that tends for me to think that perhaps the future is streaming, right? Some sort of like the far-flung future. You know, there's a PlayStation app on your TV or whatever, and that just streams everything. But for the next if we think the next 10 years is going to be somewhat status quo with some changing, right? Push towards more open marketplace, more PC-like infrastructure. Beyond that, I still think there will be a need for some sort of dedicated gaming device. There is still going to be 100+ million people end up... PS5's at 75+ mil. There is still going to be 110, 115 million PS5 owners who will likely buy a PS6 based on that's their platform of choice.
Yep.
That will, at that point, also have a lineage of games purchased and buy into that ecosystem. So I think there is still going to be, whilst it's not growing, my whole thing is that markets don't grow forever. They do mature at some point and they will plateau. It's up to that industry to solve for that. So, we talk about budgets. It's that, but it's also how many games are in development. We did that quiz last week and we spoke about the launch of the original PlayStation and, the 90 odd games or whatever it was that were there at launch.
Yeah. They're like the 4,000+ games for the PS2. I think the library is like 10,000 we count all regions.
10,000 for PS2, right?
Yeah.
There is nearly that much launching every year now. Like, it's ridiculous. You could collect a whole NES library. You could collect, a 64 library quite easily. You can't really get a PS5 collection that's complete because there's just simply too much to buy and too much to play. So I think my biggest worry for the industry isn't so much these Gen Alphas using their phones, because there is still going to be at some point, I think, a want and need, just like there is like throwaway trash movies. Not to say Fortnite's that, but there is still the need for...
No, Fortnite's not that at all.
Yeah, it's actually pretty polished. But there's still the need for like your Oppenheimers, right? And there's still going to be a need for...
Oh, yeah, I get what you mean. There's your popcorn movies.
Yeah.
Then there's your arty masterpieces.
Yeah. So my concern is...
You got your Fast and the Furious franchise. And then you got like Schindler's List.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
So my concern is really what that plateauing looks like, because we are spending more and more money, but the biggest risk to what we love is the money and time being spent elsewhere, not necessarily where those games are being played.
You think we're in a bubble?
Yes. So I did some digging, as I do.
All right. Yeah, classic.
So I've taken a lot of points from Matt Piscatella. Piscatella, I think is how you pronounce his name. He's a analyst at what was previously known as MPD. I don't know if you remember hearing the MPD numbers every month. It's now called Sakana. And what they do is track the money spent and time spent on video games in America, which is obviously one of the largest gaming markets. More than 40% of all PlayStation 5 and Xbox playtime was spent, so this is last month, so I think this was in May or June, was spent on 10 live service games. So just 10 games, nearly half of the market's time is being spent on those. So you're out nearly 50% before you even begin, right?
Yeah, exactly. And those live service games, we're thinking like what? Call of Duty, FIFA,
Minecraft,
NBA,
Roblox,
Minecraft,
Fortnite,
Roblox, Fortnite.
70% of active PS5 and Xbox Series X users in the US played at least one of those top 10 games. So 70%. Yeah. So every 10 people, 7 of them played one of those 10 games. He mentions that previously, players would jump from big game to big game, very much how I operate.
How we play, yeah.
Now, the live service games suck a ton of available time, and it's hard to beat free if it's good. So, I think the biggest risk to what we love, again, isn't the mobile gen alphas. It's the time and money being spent elsewhere, which will then force the industry to pivot towards that, which we've already started to see, but we've also seen a pushback to that. We've seen everyone go into live service. WA, Rocksteady. You mean making some great... Yeah, you made some great Batman games. Now do a games as a service. Suicide Squad. Bluepoint. Mate. Shadow of the Colossus remake. Fantastic. Make a God of War games as a service game. Like Warner Brothers. Like, it's just everyone, right? BioWare with Anthem. Everyone was doing that. And we've seen it... Nearly dropped my phone. We've seen a pushback towards that. That is the risk.
They realize... Yeah, I think the risk is because, like you said, they're trying to create the next live service game, but you almost can't predict it.
No,
because like when you think of Among Us being a thing, like it came out 4 or 5 years before that, and then it blew up during lockdown. Roblox has been out for 18 years. It's only started becoming really, really big the last 5 or 6. You know, you can't. Minecraft had that resurgence. It was always kind of big, but that's the creativity aspect. But then it got that resurgence when the Minecraft movie came out. Like, you can't... Fortnite has just gotten bigger and bigger and bigger and started doing collaborations with everything. You know, there's now branding inside Fortnite for like Adidas, Nike, Jordans, and then brands are collaborating with Fortnite outside in the fashion space to do Fortnite branded things. It's actually crazy how much consumerism there is for those live service games. And I understand why the businesses want a piece of that pie.
Look at Sony, right? Their investment into games as a service is because 50% of their revenue, so 50% of the money in, is coming from 10 games that they do not own. 10 games. And how many tens of thousands of games are on PSN? 50% of their revenue annually is coming from
10 games.
The same 10 games.
Yeah.
So that is the risk, is an over pivoting to that. But the more that becomes the norm, and the more that 50% becomes 60, 70%, that is the risk to the things that we love. I don't care if I'm playing that on an iPad with a controller that hooks up to the TV, whatever. It doesn't need to be a PlayStation console. As much as, I'd buy one forever.
Yeah, you want to play the genre of games that you enjoy playing. You want to play your single player third person action adventure storytelling. I don't know.
But then everything else too, like a game like Ninja Gaiden, right, that I'm playing right now, like that's not going to sell in the millions, right? Like platformers, like Nintendo aside, but like Astrobot, like selling 2 or 3 million units. Like it's not 20, 30 million units with X amount of revenue opportunities and things like that. Like, that's the risk. So that's what I think about. So
yeah, because they're pumping money into things and then they're coming up short, and then for their budget they scrape it back for items for games that actually they don't need that massive budget for. They just want to sell a couple of million. They just want to appease the market for that niche genre of games, which is so funny when you think about third-person action adventures being now a niche. Technically, statistically, it's more of a niche.
It is.
But it's the games that actually I feel like get advertised a lot. You know, it's the games that Sony pushes to sell. Like, it's a game that requires all the advertising. Like, you don't need to sell. It's the same thing with like Ferrari don't need to advertise. They never have any advertisements for anything because they're Ferrari.
Yeah.
So that's why I feel like Fortnite is in that status now, where it's they don't need to advertise anything because it's Fortnite.
Yeah.
Everything wants to be branded with Fortnite and be collaborated with Fortnite. They did Coachella in Fortnite.
And that's the thing, like, a lot of, like, pundits be like, oh, you know, like, these Sony games cost $300 million and they barely break even and make a small profit. What they're missing out on is the fact that those games, it isn't an isolated developer making money to survive. Their whole purpose is they might not make bank on those games selling, but if that gets X amount of people to buy a PlayStation, who then go and play Fortnite on PlayStation, Sony get 30% every time they buy, you know, a Goku skin or whatever, right? Like, that is the push. So, and it's like, you know, we talk about game budgets being ballooning and all that, and how long games take to develop. Even if you cut that in half, that's not going to fix the issue, because if games take half as long, there's going to be twice as many games. And like we said, 40% of players don't play, or 40% are spending their time playing the same 10 games. So if there's twice as many games as there are now, they're going to all mostly die. So really, the only way to fix it, if you had to wave a magic wand, and it was kind of like the Thanos snap of, like, it's going to cause pain, you'd have to either snap out these live service games, or for everyone making the games that we love, snap. We need half as many, making the same amount of games, twice as good, and there'll be the pie of people left, the 60% of people who buy games. Again, this is just time spent, not money. So people potentially may bounce out of games as well. There's only really, I reckon, 15-20% of people who do the buy a game to the next game to the next game, like the whales, right? People like us. So the pie is becoming less, is shrinking in terms of the percentage of the pie, but that player base has also grown throughout the years. There's more people playing games today than there was during the PS3 generation. But back then, more of that pie was playing these types of games, where that now has shrunk.
Because when you think about that, the Sony's form, obviously using Sony as a big example here, because I feel like they're the most adaptive over time. I feel like they're the most related PC. They got their network down. But whereas you look at Nintendo's internet, it's a shit show. But when you look at Sony, for example, the PS3 days, that was their money making. They didn't have live service. Their money making was, you needed to buy the next game so we could turn a profit. You had the console, and like, you needed that next game. Whereas now they don't need that. Sony as turning a profit, like, they don't need that next game. But we, as the consumer, we want that next game. So I would like to, who's going to talk to Sony and tell them they need convincing to do that, where they're putting all this money into developing a game and it comes up short. I mean, Concord, Final Fantasy, like, things like that. I mean, that's Square, the publisher. But, like, you understand what I mean?
Yeah. And like, it's funny that you say that, right? Like, PS3 generation, as much as we think that, Sony were in the red. So it's like, red or black? They were in the red. The more PS3s they were selling, the more they were losing money. Because of how expensive that console was. And I just brought up, you probably heard me click-clacking away behind the scenes, and I remember this being a news story. That's why I was like quickly typing it out. The PS5 generation has generated more profit for Sony than all previous PlayStation generations combined.
Wow.
PS1 brought in $3 billion of profit. PS2 brought in $2 billion of profit. PS3, like I was saying, negative $4 billion of losses.
Holy shit, negative 4 billion.
Yeah, yeah. That cell architecture, man. PS4, $9 billion of profit. PS5, $13 billion. So if you combine PS1, 2, 3, 4, that's 5 billion minus 4, that's 1 billion plus 9 is 10. So they brought in $10 billion of profit between 1, 2, 3, and 4. And PS5 alone in 5 years has brought in $13 billion of profit.
Yeah,
so that's why there's this whole, like, it's plateauing. Yes, it is plateauing. It's maturing. That's what the market does. And there is a need for these players to adapt. But I don't think it is as dark and dire as maybe it's sometimes being presented as. Like, I remember them talking about the death of consoles back when PS3 was, in life.
Yeah, it was losing money, yeah.
Yeah, so handhelds. You mentioned handhelds before. Did you have anything you want to circle back to on that?
I mean, yeah, I think the whole pivoting to as in the handheld market being, your Steam Decks, your Switches, the PlayStation Portable 2,
Vita 2, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. They're
not
they announced,
the Vita.
I guess, specs got leaked. They said they have a proposed release date being 2027/2028.
Yeah.
Holiday season.
Moore's Law's Dead is the YouTube channel. I've watched his stuff before. He's the guy who obviously has contacts at AMD and a whole bunch of different places. Yeah. He's the guy who predicted the PS5 Pro and leaked the PS5 Pro and people were like, that's not happening. Because remember, there was this whole Xbox wasn't doing a mid-gen refresh and people just assumed Sony wasn't. He was the guy to leak that. So he's reputable.
Yeah. And the fact that, Sony's had updates to go to a low power system, it kind of makes sense that they would move to a portable console that is consuming less power. Kind of story checks out. The Sony's moves that they're making now in the updates backs what he is saying. Yeah. But when it comes to Xbox they're not doing a console. I mean, Xbox is Microsoft. Microsoft has PCs, but their console is a portable console only. Their next gen or mid gen refresh is the ROG Ally, ROG
Xbox
Ally.
Rogue, a ROG, Ally X.
Yeah, yeah, and there's two versions: one with the white and the black, and one coming with a little bit more oomph, and then one with less oomph is for the technical terms.
Yeah.
But I guess this is the slightly different market from mobile gaming. You know what I mean? Like, this is still the people who have access to a controller or know how to use a controller.
Device. Yeah.
It's a dedicated gaming device. And this is where I feel like my market is for me in the future. I mean, I don't know about you, like we enjoy our consoles, but also like the switchability in a sense of doing both on one device. I mean, if you could plug your computer into a TV right now and actually have an interface that worked for gaming, would you play more PC games?
No. No, because that's not where my library is, right?
Yeah.
There is that percentage of people. I reckon it's tens of millions of people that are just they're locked. Like that's why Xbox games are coming to PlayStation, because it's those people aren't coming across.
Yeah.
We've got our libraries. I've been buying games on PlayStation since the PS3 generation in terms of network. Yeah. I've got thousands of games and tens of thousands of dollars locked to that ecosystem. So no.
I mean, okay, that's a good point. So you take it back to the fact that someone who's been a PC gamer their whole life, they now have they have a Steam library that's shacked up, thousands of dollars, hundreds of playing hours. They now have that ability to then dock it either on their computer, and then they can put it on a big screen at home, or they can take it with them. That portability, that accessibility, that switchability of switching to PC, to console, to handheld, that's now a huge game changer for people. And that's why you're seeing you know, Anbernic, ROG, Ioneo, Steam, pretty much anyone and everything doing their own, like Lenovo, the Legion as well.
Yep.
You got 5 or 6, at least I would say, front runners for Windows, for PC handheld gaming already in the space, and that's more than the console wars ever was.
Yeah.
At one going rate.
Yeah.
But they're all kind of fighting for their own market. Like they're all fighting for the same thing.
I think they're fighting to establish a market, and I don't think it's quite there yet. Like the combined sales of all those handheld devices is like 5 or 6 million.
Yeah, it's still really low, and it's what you said before. It's too expensive.
Like a Vita sold 14 plus million units, right? And that was a failure.
Long live the Vita.
Vita means life. I think where I land on with these devices, because you're right, Sony is going to do one, Xbox is doing one. It goes back to time is money. Time being spent on those devices is going to ensure the longevity. So when you look into the PlayStation Portal and you listen to Sony's earnings calls, or whenever they talk about the Portal, it's been presented as an engagement device. They say that people who have a Portal play games later at night after they've turned off their console. So they're playing longer than people without a Portal, right?
Yeah.
So, and if you're playing longer, you're likely to buy a skin or buy a game or need something to do, and they're making money that way. I think the handhelds made by Sony for that purpose, as in it will play. This new device is rumored to be able to natively play PS5 and 4 games, and most likely PS6 games, right? It's likely going to launch around the same time. And it won't be like the Vita where you had a separate library of games that you'd buy for that device. It'll be the same thing. But it's an engagement device. It'll probably be lower powered. Pricing's going to be interesting, right? Because
pricing will be interesting. If it's lower powered, it's technically might be cheaper because the technology you got to have when actually
they're going to shrink
in, and you actually got to factor in a screen. Screens are expensive.
Yeah, and PS5 Pro is positioned as a profitable device, but a low saturation product in terms of it isn't the main console that is sold. It's the PS5. So PS5 Pro launched at $799 US, right? 1,200 Australian dollars. But that is positioned as a low sell rate, right? Because that's the type of product. It's for the hardcore. It's a little bit different. What's going to be interesting is when Sony goes into PS6 and this handheld, they can't do that, right? People are worried that these consoles are going to be expensive. They are, but the new status quo is that consoles are more expensive. But they also need the PS6 to be a high sell-through device. They want 100 plus million of these out there as well. Because again, they make 50% of their profit on games being played on that thing. So they need 115, 120, 130 million units sold. So we probably will see PlayStation, I think, subsidize PS6 more than people are giving credit for. The handheld's the interesting one, right? Because the handhelds are being positioned to be more of a niche luxury item within that. Hardcore like me will buy both.
Yeah.
Because that is heaven to me to be able to take that device on the train and not like without any streaming. It's just natively playing the next God of War or whatever. But it's going to need to be positioned as more of a... People are saying that this handheld's more of a Series S. I actually think it's more of a PS5 Pro. Not in terms of power, but in terms of who it's for. It's for the highly engaged player. So it's not going to sell 100 million units. It's not going to sell Switch numbers.
No.
The console needs to
that's
sell
their
that.
only console.
Yeah, that's where people are losing, I think. The Switch is Nintendo, we always talk about on their own island, but it's more than that. Nintendo carved out their own niche. It's an underpowered device that plays primarily first-party software that is only on Nintendo, and people who play that device as their sole device aren't the PC spec PS5 Pro people.
It's a great first-party Nintendo device. It's a great indie device.
Games
Games that require low power consumption.
Yep, that's what I use it for. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's enough from me. But it's funny. I was like, I'm not really quite prepared for this discussion. Then I realized I probably spent too much time. I just over prepared. But I think that it's important. All important context to our conversation, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think one thing that would be very interesting to talk about is that if they released a I'll say confirm that they are releasing the PlayStation Portable, whatever it's going to be, codename Orion, and then codename something else. And the PlayStation 6. I mean, where does your PS5 and PS4 physical library go if you're now going to portable device?
Yeah, that's an important factor.
That is going to be an important factor. Are you going to have a device where you'll be able to, upload your library? Do you have to buy it again?
I think what will happen... Sorry, I cut you off. Keep going. Sorry.
No. Go.
I think will happen is I think that the disk drive that is sold with PS5 Pro or PS5 is going to be compatible with PS6.
You can upload.
What I think will happen potentially is that for the handheld device, like if Sony might just do it where it's locking out physical games for the handheld. Like this is purely digital.
Digital.
If they really wanted to do the right thing, I guess. If you're playing on PS5 and 6, or if you have a PS5 or 6, that very similar to like the Portal today, if you've got the disc in the drive, maybe it unlocks some sort of native download for the purpose of the handheld whilst the disc is in the console at home. Yeah. So maybe, Last of Us 3 or whatever is out, and I can put the PS6 disc into my console. I mean, again, I don't think the PS6 is going to be sold with a disc drive like out of the box. I think it's going to be an add-on that you buy. Very similar
I think they've already established the market of being an add-on.
Yeah. So perhaps I buy the console, I buy the handheld, and I want to play Last of Us 3 and I'm a physical owner. I have to put the disc into the PS6. It will then register that I've got the disc and I own the game and it's in the console. And that will
DRM.
That will download a kind of like a virtual card, like what Nintendo kind of doing on the handheld. And that will allow me to play it as long as the disc is in there. And it will just verify. The console may have to stay on, may need to require online.
Maybe do the 7-day update thing where it's like every couple of days you'll need to insert the disc in again to make sure that it's yours and you can't just put it in and then give it away kind of thing.
Exactly. That I would be happy with, because if I'm not home, I mean, if you're a player that wants to jump around between 30 games, maybe it sucks, but I mean, if you're just playing like people like me who play one game at a time or one or two games, it's fine. I'll put the disc in, and if I'm going on a holiday, I take it, and I can play Last of Us 3 on a powerful handheld that can dock into a TV. It has an I think this one is rumored to have HDMI output too, so I can plug into a TV at the hotel and continue to play on the TV.
Yeah,
that is the most reasonable solution if they are to solve for physical games, which I think they still will, because it is still a big part of, imagine the outroar, like the outrage.
Yeah, I think I do want Sony to keep supporting physical games as long as they're doing backwards compatibility for it. So if they're saying that PS4, PS5 library is going to play on the PS6, they should say, okay, both your physical and digital library should play on that console. Granted, we won't be selling it with a disc. We'll be selling it with the disc tray optional aside, and you can do that. Like, give me an avenue to do it, and that's what I care about.
Yeah.
Don't just take it away completely. Give me an option.
As much as it's like 80%, 85% of people buying digital, right? If you look at like software sales.
Yeah.
You could argue that 15% of physical owners is your most hardcore base, because they're probably the people that have been playing games their entire life. You don't want to piss them off.
No, you don't.
Look at what's happening with Switch 2 right now, right? Like, people are upset with the whole keycard thing.
Yeah. Did you see the survey that came out?
Yeah, I saw your message before. There's like that is. I don't know what will result from all this, because I think it's like, okay, we will do the physical things, but we're going to charge more because we're going to pay for, like, these chips are more expensive than a Blu-ray disc, right? Which is super cheap to print. Which was Nintendo's original fault with 64 and PS1. Why so many people and so many developers moved to PS1 is because Final Fantasy VII would have been on 4 or 7 cartridges that cost X amount versus the PlayStation CD, which is like
one CD.
a cent, like to print. So that will be interesting to follow. But yeah, I think that as long as we're around, like there will still be, just like you can still buy a CD, you can still buy a DVD. They just maybe will print less, and maybe it's more, they just take pre-orders, open pre-orders, or after the game releases, you got you got a window of 4 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever it is, 6 months, a year from when a game releases that they'll fulfill those orders if you haven't pre-ordered the game. And
almost limited run.
Yeah, but done with more efficiency and speed, because I know limited run, like some people will order a game and like it'll take a year.
Order to take forever. Yeah, I have a few limited run games that were, once they finally came to me, I was like,
forgot I brought this.
I no longer care. Yeah, I forgot I brought this. It's like I no longer have the time to play this because there's so many other A games out right now. So this will just sit nicely on my shelf. But yeah,
what do you think, Rubes?
Oh, so cute.
She's not impressed. I think she wants to go out.
Well, that could be a good way to finish the topic.
Yeah.
If you want.
Awesome discussion. Yeah. I reckon this is probably one of the most enjoyable discussions I think we've had on this show. I think very insightful,
it was really
deep.
Yeah, it was really good. I really liked having a topic. I mean, I think we spoke about this, the reason why I stopped enjoying the podcast we did prior to this was that it was all news-based and it was less discussion. I love a good discussion topic. So, yeah, thank you. Thank you, Josh.
No, I think we've got the recipe down where it's like, my whole thing was the opposite, where it's like, I like the news because I like to get into the weeds, where this is an interesting dynamic of like an open-ended topic that I can then get, or you can get into the weeds on, and then I can still bring in all my numbers that I would on the other, the other iteration of the show, right? But in a different context, and it isn't. This is something you could watch next week or a month next month, and it's still just as relevant as opposed to
looking at the data.
Yeah, or talking about last week's direct, and it's only really relevant that day. Most people get their news elsewhere, and who are we? Why come? Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Yep. So, we are very much on the same page with that. But that has been another Fortnight's episode of Dodge, Parry, and Roll. I've been your host for today, Joshua LaRosa, going back to Donkey Kong and Ninja Gaiden after this call. Vinny, thank you so much. Take us away.
May the power protect you.
Be safe and goodbye.